Yes, but
Abdul, what is this Fuyu thing that I'm looking at?
What?
Abdul on me is just some like old man square.
Looks like a Viking.
What is this thing?
It's Tupac of the Great Deku Tree.
Oh, I see. Oh my god, that's stupid. Snowy would not know what it is. You won't know who Tupac is.
I vaguely know the name.
Yeah, or he's a famous rapper.
The
formerly living famous rapper.
Still very much famous. If you hear, like, if you think hip hop,
that's why I put the formerly living.
yeah, yeah. If you think hip hop, that would be one of the kind of first 5 names that would come out of hip hop.
Yeah, very influential artist.
The joke is that for the new Like a Dragon game, or Stranger Than Heaven, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
They added
Supposed to be Tupac adjacent, but that's not the case. It is supposed to be Tupac, but Tupac's dead, so they're like, assumedly using AI to do his voice.
Or just finding someone who sounds similar, you know, that also happens.
Yeah.
they have a actual like voice actor trying to you do his voice. Is it meant? I'm pretty sure his name isn't Tupac though, or even his real
I
name.
thought it was Tupac.
I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be like just literally just likeness and voice, because I'm pretty sure even Snoop Dogg's character is not literally his real name, nor
I
is it
also
Snoop
thought
Dogg.
like Michael Jackson was a character in that. Is he not?
No, not in Stranger Than Heaven.
Googling this now. Stranger Than Heaven. Oh, I see. Okay, so they do change his name.
Yeah, and it's not meant to be Tupac in terms of personality or anything either. So to me, it's literally just appearance and voice. But even then, it's an impression. So I wouldn't even. And it's not even a real voice.
Hang on, I'm calling horseshit on that part. If the developer straight up said it's his idea, this is the best thing I've heard so far. Apparently, the character is supposed to be the developer's like vision of Tupac if he was making music today. That is likeness still, but man, that's a step closer at least.
Oh, for sure. Like it is. I would say it's very close. It is teetering onto the edge of actually using as much of Tupac itself. But I'd say it's likeness and inspiration.
Oh my god, they fixed the hitboxes for sure. I shoot so clean.
Yeah, that was all coming from the fact that, yeah, they're using his likeness in there, and regardless of how ethical the method is, because it's with close working of Tupac's family and with being oversaw by Snoop Dogg, who was a close friend, and all that, there is a lot of people criticizing that it's still use of a dead person. And so, regardless of whether it's right or not, it blew up. And that's why there's been a lot of memes and the like on in terms of Tupac being brought back for everything.
I feel like personally, if I had close enough like family and friends who were also endorsing this thing, I'd be okay with it. But like they have to be, you have to have at least one relative is the big one. At least one non-shitty relative, I should say.
Yeah, because
I think the way I would do it is have some contingent. Like, if I really needed to, I would just have a contingency for it in my will, and be like, "This is the family member I trust to give permission for that thing." If they are not available, even in death, I am not available.
Because there was that one person that had been criticized for using like a famous dead celebrity who's their relative as
How long do they have to be dead? Or does a famous person have to be dead for it to be like acceptable to use them?
like public domain kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'd say it doesn't matter on the length of time, it matters on the historical importance.
The more important you are, the more okay it is.
In my eyes, yeah. Like, here's the big one. There are video games that exist, and just will always exist, cough cough, Burnout Paradise, that just have an ad saying vote for Obama in them?
Nice.
And I'm like, that'll happen. Like, those will be a thing long after his, like, that game will be a thing long after his death, too. But also, if any new game were to try to, like, put itself in that time frame, and it were to, like, I don't know, I say it's also not about, like, having the person in there where it's like, it's okay to use anyone's likeness if you paint them in, like, a either neutral or favorable light. Favorable to who is, you know, very, subjective. But then that's on the developers for trying to, like, fuck with shit. But I do think, yeah, like, historical importance is the big one. Like, not that I could ever see someone having a reason to use her in a game, but, like, if J.K. Rowling passed away, I'd be like, 2 weeks later I see a game coming out with her in the likeness or whatever, or, like, a year later or whatever, so it's still old enough to be, like, not her, but not new enough to, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I would just be like, okay, that's on the game for them trying to pull their strings. We'll see how they play the character, whether or not people are okay with it. But I don't think you can strictly say whether or not it is okay is the problem. And that it is definitely up to not trial by combat. What's the peer vote or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Peer review.
Peer review, thank you. It was up to, like, peer review as to whether or not it was in good faith or in good hands.
Because there is also just the whole whatchamacallit. There is the whole you can just take their likeness or close enough. Or you could just straight up take their likeness and any differences be put down to stylistic choice, and you could just say any similarity to real persons is coincidental.
Yeah, that's the big one I see people doing a lot. Where I'm
It's
like,
just be like, it's
we
definitely
all
not this
know it's-
person.
yeah, we all know it's not coincidence. If I hear if I hear people are going to a Wendy's chain in a book, and I hear that or I read that disclaimer before it, where it's like, oh, any real life chain is just coincidental, or it's like, oh, we didn't mean you as Wendy's, we meant like the in fiction universe Wendy's. I'm just like, you know what you were doing.
Reminds me of like
that is more so up to peer review than it is up to Wendy's to give the A-OK when like Wendy's is long and dead or whatever.
it's making me think of like the whole just Japanese anime manga thing where you always see some version of McDonald's around.
Yeah.
But then they use it upside down, like W, and then that's clearly just an upside down M, or they say everything apart from McDonald's.
There's also Starbucks is another common one too.
Yeah. I think the three most common are McDonald's, Starbucks, and Pepsi.
Yes.
Not even Coke, because for some reason they make fun of Pepsi more than Coke with those.
I think it's just a name. The name is kind of funny, isn't it?
It is. I also always love when people do the funny name that's like universally agreed is the Creative Commons version of Pepsi, which is just Beppis.
Beppis, yeah. And then they just go one step further, like Bepsis.
Yeah. Any version of Beppis.
That's because it's Pepsi upside down, right?
Kind of. No, it's Pepsi, but the P is a B.
Yeah, just the first letter's upside down,
Yeah.
essentially.
Well, it's both P's are upside down.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, both the P's are upside down.
But not both P's, it's just the first one, and then
no, it would be the first one. Yeah, because
it's just that the S and I are also swapped.
I guess, yeah. It's such a weird, like, it is a different spelling for sure at that point.
Yeah, like
But it's
you're
like,
definitely
you read it and you're like, this is just Pepsi for the dyslexic.
essentially. Yeah.
Horns.
Excuse me.
Oh yeah, the teams for Art Fight this year are comedy, mystery, and tragedy.
Yeah. I love the music came out of it. It's like comedy, tragedy, sure, and then just out of nowhere, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Stone Cold Stunner, fucking mystery comes in.
Well, so, in essence, comedy and tragedy are the two, strictly speaking, are the two only real types of theater if you go back far.
Yes.
Like, the whole bit is that comedy used to refer to anything that was not a tragedy with writing. And that's where the two masks come in, is because it's either a comedy or a tragedy, and you don't know what you're going to go watch until you go and watch it in a theater play. But then they just put in, like, they kind of nailed it with having that in-between state of, like, what's the stupid meme? Someone described it best with, like, the legendary birds in Pokemon, where people were like, oh, why is Zapdos there? I get fire and ice. And then it's like, oh, it's because it's all about heat. You have ice, the absence of heat, fire, the presence of heat, and then you have energy, the transference of heat. Or the process of heat. And I'm like, that's kind of what they just did with comedy, tragedy, and mystery, huh? Fucking limbo state until you get to watch the end of your play.
Yeah, and I guess compared to most other genres, mystery can very much fit in any of in either of the two kind of
Yeah,
genres.
because mystery just is like the whole point of a story to begin with. Every book asks a question. Otherwise, you wouldn't have plot twists. Or plot.
Yeah.
Shipwreck 3 times by
Yeah, like at least in terms of classic theater, yeah, mystery would be
It's like the only other option, yeah.
yeah, like I said, at least specifically with classic theater, because it certainly has developed a lot more with a lot more like literary narratives or narrative aims.
Yeah, I'm also like, what else could you put instead of mystery, though? Horror? But that's tragedy.
So you say, but
Surrealism?
really enough. I hear the same thing about how horror, comedy, and horror are the same thing. Where they're like, it's all about timing, and the difference is the punchline.
No, they're not, though.
Because there's also a reason why a lot of comedians, such as Jordan Peele, also make made great horror skits as well as great horror movies.
Yeah, but like, if we're talking about classics too, then it's not really the same.
Okay, I guess I am using a modern kind of take on it then.
A modern breakdown, yeah. Okay, so then what else would fit? What other genres are there?
I mean, action, like, but then if we're talking about classic theater genres.
Technically, action. The problem is
Action would be like an epic kind of thing.
yeah, but then also at the same time, action still plays into either tragedy or comedy. Because you get a definitive answer as to, like, who won the action battle. The idea with mystery is you couldn't leave it on a cliffhanger and just say, fuck you. Put it this way, if I would say action is close to, but not quite the same as mystery, but you could put action things into the mystery category. Like,
I think action can
if
go
we're-
into both, right?
yeah, but I'm saying action could also slot into the idea of a mystery, because what about like the new Spider-Man movies, the animated ones?
Mm.
What if Part 2 ended before we got the reveal that he wasn't sent to the right dimension? And they just said, well, he wasn't sent to his home dimension, and we don't see the fact that, like, other Miles is evil. Then that just ends as a full-on mystery. It's kind of also like saying, like, you could cut a lot of things off early and, yeah, turn them from either action or tragedy into mystery. But they all fall into that mystery category, then, of, like... If you take the original Planet of the Apes, for example, the big reveal was that they were always on Earth. And that it was time travel, not space travel. Well, quote-unquote time travel into the future, or whatever. But, like... if that was never revealed, then that just becomes a tragedy. It doesn't really fall into mystery. So action can fall into all three of those categories, but mystery, when cut off at any one point, can't fall into a different category. It can only fall into action, or comedy or tragedy.
To me, it's just sounding like much like action. Mystery is simply a element that can be used for either tragedy or comedy. So it doesn't feel like its own genre anyway.
Yeah, but at which point, like, mystery does, because you can have a mystery without tragedy or comedy. You can have a mystery thing that doesn't have good or bad endings, because it's just the entire first bit of setting up a mystery that doesn't have any stakes, but you never get an answer. That's just.
But then you're also putting in a more modern take on it, then, aren't you? Because tragedy and comedy
Are you?
were very vague, weren't they? In what would be considered good or bad endings.
Okay, but no. Take let's take a actual classical take on it then, and make a pure mystery out of one. What about Phantom of the Opera? It starts as a tragedy, it becomes a comedy, but halfway through, it's pure mystery. Because no one actually dies until the latter half of the act. Or the last act. It's just, why is this thing haunting this place in particular? And it was set up as a mystery, because the whole point of the original play is that it was a fake out of they thought they were going to see a different play, and then they started telling the story of some stupid chandelier. And then people were like, where the fuck is this going? And so about halfway through, you're just stuck in a mystery. Nothing has happened other than you went to go see a play you didn't think you got to see. So it still could have ended on its own merits of a mystery. There was no action in it. I guess there was romance, so you could kind of say comedy. But like the actual will they won't they wasn't answered until someone started dying, at which point it became a tragedy. So it was just in a perpetual state of in between for like an entire act almost.
So it feels more like the tightrope walk between the two.
Basically.
The problem is I've not watched Phantom of the Operas. All I know is only the reputation of it.
It's okay, so for very, very quick recap, like this is just the most layman terms version of it I can possibly give at this quick pace. It started with they were gonna put on a play. I don't remember the original name, like the name of the original play, but there was like a whole actual play that was supposed to be shown. And Phantom of the Opera starts as if that play is going to be shown. However, it then has this whole thing where it's set up at a specific venue for once. And this venue has a history with a chandelier that is hanging over everyone's head that like fell in the middle of a play. So the venue starts talking about the chandelier and its history and how it fell and whatnot. And you get into the Phantom of the Opera of a dude who is crushed by the thing while falling in love with an actress. But then, like, because he was dead, he was essentially haunting the theater, trying to kill those actors so that he could be with her in the afterlife. That's the very dumb layman's term.
Yeah, that's plenty enough, as in...
You can get, like, a lot further into, like, it's not actually, like, you might not actually be a ghost, you might be a guy, there's a lot of shit to it.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, you've told me enough for me to get the idea, because anymore will be either speculation or personal interpretation of it, and,
Yeah.
It would be...
There are definitive answers, I just don't know them off the top of my head.
Yeah, plus, in the end,
Like, I don't remember if he actually is a ghost or not, because that's supposed to be a major plot point again.
Yeah.
And other than him dying at the start that sets the whole thing in motion, which it's not really a tragedy yet because the story is still about him just in death. It is about the phantom, the ghost of the opera. So, like, until someone else either dies or lives, his whole life is essentially a mystery of will he, won't he? Will he fall in love with her? Will he not? Will he kill her successfully? Will she, like, survive and finish the stage play she was meant to finish? There's a whole thing to it. But that's why I'm like, it is probably the closest you could get to a pure mystery in a classical sense if you just kept it going and left it on a cliffhanger. Which has been done in other media before. I just cannot think of the top, like, off the top of my head.
Yeah, although I'd imagine in terms of less classical, this would still be... This is classic literature, but not classical. Some of the Brontes would probably have stories that end on cliffhangers, really.
Some of the what?
The Brontes, as in the Bronte sisters.
I have no
With
idea.
and the like. Well, they're not specifically Wuthering Heights. I'm pretty sure that, if I remember correctly, that did have a fairly solid ending and didn't really end on much that is left up to interpretation.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, is there actually any... I feel like there's gotta be something that's considered a pure mystery.
Detective Conan.
Yeah? Oh, you know what you could do? I know exactly what it is, Abdul, because it's not mystery. And by classic definition, it's not tragedy. But it is technically old enough to be qualified as a classic to fit within the two. What you could say is a pure mystery is Sherlock Holmes, The Case of Jack the Ripper. Because that was written, and they didn't unmask Jack the Ripper. Because they just played into the fact that it was history. Dude was never caught.
I guess the fact that he's never caught, but that could be considered tragic.
It could be, but so it could also, if we're gonna go in again, if we're gonna stick to like classic definitions, it could then also fall under the purview of comedy instead, because go old enough and comedy literally just meant not everyone dies at the end. That's why it's called Dante's Divine Comedy. It's because it's about Dante, who goes through divine, like, a divine plot and divine, like, beats and interventions and stuff. But it is a comedy because not everyone died at the end. Someone emerged happy. Therefore, not tragedy, comedy all of a sudden.
True.
So it's like, the real question is, when does it become no longer comedy and tragedy, but rather just mystery? At which point I'm like, I guess you kind of can't say Jack the Ripper, sure, but you kind of can. Not everyone was saved or walked out unscathed, like, Sherlock Holmes still didn't catch Jack the Ripper, so he failed, so it's a tragedy, but also, not everyone died, and they saved, like, they saved his next victim in the thing by trying to call his bluff, and, you know, successfully calling his bluff. So it's considered a comedy because not everyone died.
I guess, but then that leads like a second question. Sorry.
What?
That just leads another question for me then, because
Okay.
I've not read the book. So, in any of the plots, Sherlock Holmes, through his investigation, does that cause Jack the Ripper to even stop his killings? Because that was my thoughts on. In the end, he was not caught.
No, because in the end, the big question was actually supposed to be, did his plan even really work?
Yeah, so in the end, it's
it failed once before. In the book, they consider one of the victims like a failed attempt at stopping Jack the Ripper and calling his bluff. But the final victim doesn't get killed, but also Jack the Ripper just kind of disappears into the night and never kills again.
Okay, so this is the
So it's like was that a person actually a target? Was he not? Like, there is still that mystery to it, in that sense.
Okay, so Jack the Ripper within the universe of the book confirms to have not killed any more after that.
Yes. Whether it's because of that or not, they don't know.
Okay, there's still that sense of mystery. Fair enough. I say my question was more that, was there going to be further victims past the ending of the book? Because if that was the case, because if that was the case, then that is still very much tragic in its own right, because it's very futile, the efforts then.
Yes.
But I guess if even that is put into question, then that still retains mystery. You're right.
Yeah, so like I'm saying that that's probably where you could draw a pretty close line and say that that was like a pure mystery, because it's not only the mysteries held within the book, but I would argue that the part of mystery that becomes the third medium is the mystery of if it's supposed to be considered a comedy or a tragedy. the fact that it can be considered both mediums means it can also be considered neither medium, which leaves it a mystery as to like what was the author's intention. Oh, there was another book that did this, actually. There was a book that gave you a definitive answer, but it was up to people's interpretation as to whether the ending was happy or sad. And I remember it going around when I was in like high school, so like 2016 or something. And it made so many people mad because they wanted an answer. And the director was like, no, fuck that. You draw your own conclusion. I don't remember what it was, though. I guess you could also question certain things like Soma then as... Oh no, that's more tragedy.
Okay, there are two more sources.
Yeah. Soma is definitely tragedy. The EADC version or whatever is definitely comedy.
There are two sources from my memory that I feel like can apply.
Okay.
George Orwell, or rather a lot of his books, but I'd say specifically Time Machine. Because a lot of them feels very... A lot of them are very dystopian. And I feel like that's a thing with dystopia itself as well, is where you cannot tell if the ending itself is happy or not, because there's always a bittersweet feeling to it. Or at least there is still a tone of bitterness that I feel like would take away from any really happy comedic aspect. But Time Machine specifically, because in the end, you do see what happens to humanity, but it is left up to interpretation on whether knowledge of that led to any change to prevent such futures. And secondly would be Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, okay, I can see Handmaid's Tale.
Because in the end, it was a very small passive protagonist's view of it, and she may have escaped the regime, or she may have immediately escaped the vicinity of the regime, but it was not even explained what happened to her afterwards. And even in the postscript, where it was the people in the future trying to play historian and try to figure out what happened in the past, it was still all left to mystery, and we don't know. Everything is still up to interpretation. So I think that would be also a really good modern case of mystery that does not play into tragedy or comedy.
You know what I would say is the perfect modern case of mystery, actually, because we don't have all the facts, but we have enough to, like, sway two different types of people into believing one side or the other. I just read this book. What's the name of the ship, though? Fuck. Hang on. Once I start boarding, I'll get the name of the book. It's the name of the ship.
Oh, the one that you were reading?
Yeah.
I don't remember them.
Moby Dick.
No.
Random
Also, Moby Dick was a whale.
Moby Dick was a whale. I just said ship.
Yeah. Hang on, I'll find it.
You can hear him like shuffling.
Yo. I'm walking. You know, I'm really mad. I found the book, but right before I found it, I realized what the name was. It's called The Wager.
The ship is called the Wager.
Yeah, so is the book. So this book is a modern day take of, there was a ship that had basically been lost at sea for like almost a decade or something. I can't remember the exact time, but it was like, it was several years at least, or whatever, right? So the ship was lost at sea. People thought they were dead, and then suddenly 3 people show up on shore. About a week later or so, 3 more people show up on shore and start claiming, or 2 more people show up on shore and start claiming that the other 3 are like mutineers. And that the tragedy of the Wager was all their fault. So the book goes through and using the like journals and logs and stuff of the different sailors, tries its absolute best to give an account of what people think happened from an unbiased perspective. I say try its best because there is a, like, when one side has more info than the other, there is inherently a bias to it. That being said, the story went as such. Wager was a ship that was trying to steal money from like a Spanish galleon with a fleet, but got separated from the fleet during a storm. At some point, it then washed up on shore in like a random remote island. Not back home, just some random remote island. From the time when it kind of got lost from the rest of them to the time where it was like washed up on a random island or whatever, it turns out there was a brand new captain who was like a first-time captain manning the ship and its crew and whatnot, that people are saying were the ones who kind of, he was supposed to be at fault for letting it get that wrecked because he made some bad calls. And he did make some bad calls. Whether or not it was the cause of the wreck is a little impossible to say, because he makes it sound like he tried his best. And the rest of the crew makes it sound like he's to blame, which, if the ship is wrecked and your captain is like the person you blame for everything anyway, that's gonna happen. So the real mutiny, quote-unquote mutiny, comes into play when it is revealed that the captain had willingly shot an unarmed civilian. Or not civilian, technically civilian by trade, because they didn't have the whole like rank and file system that we have in our ships today set up.
Yeah, everyone's a civilian.
Well, yes and no, because they did have like actual like English guardsmen. So they had people who like belonged to the Navy on the ship, but because of how like terrible the ship started off with in the first place, the boat had like some very last minute people starting to work with it who were all just considered civilian. Like, they were the lowest of the low, they're there to do their job, that's it. Get them working, who cares? Some people were straight up like, they wanted to go to jail rather than work on this ship, and they were still caught and be like, no, you're working on the ship now. Go with them. If you don't listen, your body's going out to sea, and you're not coming back home. Good luck. But the mutiny essentially was on an island, which cannot be considered the captain's purview per se. It can and can't. It's really complicated, because there was no laws around it at the time. So, half of the argument is the captain doesn't have, like, full authority anymore, but rather the Navymen should have authority. The other part of the argument is that the captain should have authority because it's his ship that was shipwrecked, and it's still his job to get his ship, like, scavenged and up and running in any way, shape, or form to get them back home. So in the middle of all this, there is like a whole lot of other things that are going on, by the way, Abdul. Like, people are being fed lies. There's like, they're starving, obviously. They're thirsty, they're hungry, they're like suffering. And at one point, a dude is led to believe that his and only his rations of the alcohol that they have been scavenging is being cut off. In a fit of rage, he demands to go talk to the captain. The captain's guards are making a bit of a fuss about it and saying, no, you can't do that. The captain said he didn't want to be disturbed. We can't let you, like, talk to him. He's still upset he doesn't have his alcohol, so he's storming, like, up to the guards, relentless, and everyone's making a bit of a commotion. In this commotion, the captain comes out, looks at the man with no gun in his hand, and shoots him on the spot. As of that point, people who belonged to the English Navy and not necessarily, or the English like military or Navy or whatever you want to call it, not necessarily the captain or the civilians, decide to put in play a full and formal mutiny. These motherfuckers wrote a 12-page document. And everyone signed it, saying we are going to mutiny this man, and we are going to make it back home where he can be tried for his crimes. Because shooting an unarmed civilian is a crime, and you should not be a capable leader after this. When they went to go make the attempt back home, however, it was relayed to two people who were very, iffy on the matter of going home and mutinying the captain, that the captain wasn't actually coming along and that he was being left behind. Because the ship was in worse aware than it could have been had they just gone with, these strict actual survivors. Their argument, the people who were leaving him behind argued that if he didn't get left behind, the ship wouldn't have made it back home safely. And transporting a criminal wasn't a feasible option, and therefore they should have prioritized the remaining crew and civilians. The only unanimously agreed upon facts in this entire case are that they were struck ashore. What they did was technically considered a mutiny by pure technicality, and that the captain did previously commit a crime by murdering an unarmed civilian. Those are the only three facts you have. When they got home, however, and there was a trial put on, the trial wasn't for whether or not he committed a mutiny. The trial was for whether or not the crew believed that it was his fault they were shipwrecked. That's it. Everyone agreed that it could not be proven it was his fault they were shipwrecked, and that the weather and storms and everything were just that severely bad that it could have happened regardless. The mutiny trial never actually happened. There was no judge, there was no jury. By today's case, you could just consider this a mystery.
Why is this not a tragedy?
Because not everyone died.
The tragedy means everyone has to die?
In fact, the captain and the mutineers both made it back home safely in order to enact a fair trial.
One man died.
That could be considered a comedy. Because by those old terms, it's a story in which not everyone died. And some of the protagonists made it out unharmed. Well, not unharmed, but you know what I mean. They made it out alive. So by that play, it's a comedy. But at the same time, Was there justice to be had that then went unanswered? Did a criminal go free? Could that part be considered the actual, like, severe tragedy to it all, where it's not a happy ending? And that's what's supposed to make a tragedy? There's no real say because there was no court case to it. I'm remembering that this is the book I was referring to. Like, it is up to the reader's interpretation as to whether or not this is a happy or sad ending. On the one hand, a criminal could have gone free. On the other hand, another criminal could have gone free. On the other hand, everyone made it home and was alive, and lived to tell the tale. Is
Like
this...
the dude who got shot?
Not quote-unquote everybody, but, like, you know what I mean. Every quote-unquote protagonist, everyone who wrote a journal made it home alive, surprisingly. Actually, I think one person who wrote a journal died. And that's why it was supposed to be a 4-on-3 for captain's side, but one of them died trying to get the captain home.
The commonality between that and what I noticed in Handmaid's Tale is that a not easy, but a very effective way to make a true mystery is to have the perspective shift
Oh yeah.
to a unaffected or third party that only aim to try and figure out what happened, to pick up the mysteries that happened of the main event during the book, only to have them give up.
Yeah, only to have them, like, bow out at some point in the story.
Yeah, I'd say that's like that's the effective way to make it. Obviously there is a lot of work.
A lot more to it, a lot of nuance, obviously, that you could go into. But, like, I would argue that that is also a form of mystery, of, like, you can kind of call it both or neither of a comedy or tragedy. By, like, the different definitions that started to make up the what now become the different genres, obviously. But if that's the case and the waters are that muddied, is it really either anymore? Or is it like how much of Theseus' ship have we rebuilt trying to figure out if this is a mystery? You know?
Yeah. And speaking of, like, well, not speaking of, but rather, it makes me think that, yeah, I said it's an effective way, but it still takes a lot of, like, greasework to make it a satisfying ending. Because in the end, if you have to admit that there's just mysteries you can't...
I was so mad at that, by the way. I hated, like, personally... From the perspective of reading that book that much, I did get really mad at the ending for being like, what do you mean they just didn't go to trial? Who's the dumbass that did that? Which obviously it was the fact that they were like it was England and Spain were in a war at the time. So, you know, it was kind of in their best interest, like in England's best interest to be like, we don't know if there was a mutiny or not. We don't really care. Fuck off. You're adults. Argue. Do what you want. Write your books. We don't give a fuck. But I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, God damn it, give him a trial. Who is at fault here? Who does historical law side with in this case? Because it is a really good case in point of historical law of, like, they were at sea, or they were at sea at first, right? Like, only the people on the ship were involved in the mutiny. Therefore, it could be argued that it was up to, like, that it was a mutiny and that it was, like, a blatant act against the captain. And the mutineers should be hanged and tried and hanged. On the other hand, they are no longer on land. Or on sea, sorry. And this is at a point in history when those laws were not clearly, like, set and divided yet. Therefore, it might not have technically been a mutiny and might have been a just cause for people to arrest and then, in essence, leave behind a criminal who, like, was a known murderer. Because regardless of, like, every other fact, too, that is still a pure murder. That man murdered someone. He had intent. It was not, like... I guess it could be argued that it's manslaughter and not murder, because heat of the moment sort of shit. But, like, what'd you say, Snowy? Did it? Yeah, I don't know if it existed in, like, 1780 or whatever. But that just brings into it the other question, then, of, like, if it's manslaughter, what happens? Does that change the rules of his ruling? Does that mean, does it going from murder to manslaughter mean it wouldn't have been immunity instead? Or that it would have been, like... There are so many questions left unanswered at that book that I just genuinely got mad at the law. For being like, how fucking dare you sweep this shit under the rug? I want answers, damn it.
Similarly, one that could... At this point, I feel like I'm just throwing in a lot of open-ended endings into mystery. Which shouldn't.
I feel like that's kind of what makes up a mystery, is an open ending.
Yeah, but like a good mystery has an open ending, or a strong example of a mystery has an open ending, but not every open ending makes a mystery, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because now I'm just thinking of something like
Lord of the Flies. I can give you an actual description then of what I believe would be the best possible definition of a classical mystery. Like, we have classical comedy, we have classical tragedy. I think the best possible definition you could have for mystery is a open ending in which you cannot define the story as either medium. You can argue it as either medium, but you cannot strictly define it as either medium for it to be a mystery.
You could argue which side of the spectrum it leans towards, but
yes.
not...
You cannot definitively answer what side of the spectrum it's on. Again, you can speculate, and you can argue, but you cannot answer. You cannot prove.
Ooh, that's a mystery in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, it's a he said, she said. It is the essence of a mystery. When you do bring the smoothie over, can you bring the spoon, please? Thank you. Well, I think that just even further proves the point of that's a mystery then, Abdul. That's the literal medium between the two, is the medium between the two. It can't be a comedy, it can't be a tragedy. Like, it can't be proven comedy or tragedy. But it can be seen as either. Therefore, it's just a mystery. It's he said, she said. Like, from my perspective, I would argue that the idea of, like, the wager is, strictly speaking, a classical comedy in that sense of not everyone died, but, like, you know, it's not pure tragedy. Not everyone died. Some protagonist was kind of happy ending. But from another perspective, you could be on the air of it doesn't matter whether they lived or died. It matters that the question was answered. At that point, it would be a tragedy because the question was never answered.
Because at that point, you're not asking for an ending, you're asking for a resolution.
Exactly, but if you can't get either, and can't definitively prove that either has happened, it is just a mystery at that point. That's my take on on like how a middleman mystery essentially would be defined.
So in a way, I'd say like follows your line of logic, but my wording of the definition would be yeah, just the lack of a resolution. Because I'd say that differs from an ending in a sense where it's supposed to be the lack of an answer.
Yeah.
Anyway, that just means a mystery simply has a great amount of agency on the reader's part to try and interpret the words then.
Yeah, again, it's just an open ending.
It's, yeah, which is weird because, again, compared to a comedy or tragedy, which
Oh my god! I know which book I was originally thinking of. I was thinking of the book Awaken Online. It is pure reader speculation if that thing has a happy or sad ending. In fact, in that case, it's actually kind of different from what you were thinking then, Abdul, in that it's still a mystery of a different kind, but it has a resolution.
Huh.
So essentially, Awaken Online is the story of a like bullied kid who finds his place in like a VR MMO, right? Where he grows to be happy in this VR MMO. The problem is, in said VR MMO, he is widely considered the villain. But he wins at the very end of the story. He beats the MMO's perspective of a hero. See, Clair Obscur is a mystery.
I mean, clubs go for sure.
No, I can't say it's mystery actually, but I can't say why.
And not up to the player's interpretation with the happy ending or not.
Like technically, but also it has a definitive ending. It's just it has multiple definitive endings. Like that's like asking, is a choose your own adventure book also considered
both
media?
endings are kind of both, no?
Yeah, no, you're right. Okay, hang on. On that case, I will take. Whoa! Hearing fireworks go off.
Someone's throwing crackers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can hear fireworks going off. No, I will take your case. No, I will say that Clair Obscur, yeah, is in essence a mystery. Technically speaking, if you really wanted to get into it, it's more leaning on the side of tragedy for reasons I won't explain.
Again, I feel like back to the previous one, before Clair Obscur.
Okay. Yeah, so a man who is playing as a villain,
Bruh.
but is considered what?
You parked the giant shelf on top of both of my coasters. Why?
Oh, I didn't mean to.
I see. I was like, oh, let me put my tea on one of my coasters. One of them is like halfway. The shelf is on half of one, on the tail of the other, and I'm just like, oh.
Man, I made sure it was clear last time, so I don't know. Something got moved.
You're the one who moved it. I wasn't here for this.
I don't know then. $50 planks, 50 timber, 50 iron. to go home and get the timber and iron, it looks like. But yeah, okay, so going back to the old one then, Abdul. The Awaken Online. A man who is seen as, like, a tragic outcast. Like, if you were to go rags to riches story, think of that. But then the rags to riches is technically him becoming a villain to the populace, but not in a way that strictly ruins a majority of people's lives. Weirdly saying he does kind of arguably ruin one person's life? But it's also arguable that that man ruined his own life. By the same metric.
It's just that at this point I feel like we're, despite, as you said, despite that it has a resolution, I feel like we're straying from...
He beats the good guy, technically, from the MMO's perspective, but from the non-MMO part of the perspective, the good guy beats the bad guy. The rules are inherently swapped inside of the game. And it's the quote-unquote villain's life that, like, gets ruined from in the real world from trying to ruin the hero's life and failing. But then, yeah, that case question is just, which ending is, like, are you supposed to take when defining the old genre then?
But then, like, my question is, what would that really be counting towards classic mystery then? Because again, that's very modern kind of book that goes by much more modern metrics.
I'm questioning, could it be considered a classic mystery?
I would not believe so.
No? Well, because if everything falls under one of the three of classic mystery, classic comedy, classic tragedy...
I don't believe everything does. I'm saying...
Everything is supposed to fall under the idea of classic comedy or tragedy. So if you have to make a middle ground to those old ones, where does that middle ground start and stop, is what I'm, like, getting at.
Because from the sounds of that book itself, it feels more comedic in
classical sense?
Yes. Also in the sense of, like, absurdity, you know? That just, it flips the idea of hero and villain on its head. The fact that one can be considered hero and villain in the traditional sense, but the roles are flipped depending on context. That doesn't strictly make a mystery in itself. To me, that's simply
okay, but then
means an absurdist kind of comedy.
Hear me out. Let me bring into point an earlier one that we could consider a classic mystery that has the same question at first. Phantom of the Opera, the ghost is considered both a hero and a villain because it is tragic that he died and that all he wants is love.
Yes, but then that puts into a similar kind of questions of anti-heroes, anti-villains, Byronic heroes, flawed ones, and the like, where...
Okay, but then, yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that's what the question kind of is at this moment, of, like... I guess that's the real one. Is an anti-hero winning part of a comedy or tragedy? Or does it then define the medium of mystery? Like, yeah, you can't strictly say that for certain ones. Like,
I would say it would more lead into comedy than anything. Like if I had to put something on it,
Okay.
because it's an anti-hero that goes by immoral or non-conventional methods, but in the end it leads to
like a full-out
whether
happy
it be
ending.
whether it be a mix or like a balance of it, an overall happy ending or overall a improvement in situation.
Okay. These are the kind of deep thought questions you could expect when Snowy is drawing art. Oh, I have a question for you, Snowy. I know how to get your opinion on this. If Project Hail Mary ended before he had shown his decision on whether or not he was going back to save Rocky. Like, it cuts the moment he realizes he has to make the choice, and it just ends. Where would you put it?
This is beyond me now.
What?
I'm gone.
What are you done?
This sounds like 90% of media you want to just stick in mystery at this point.
90% of what?
Of media you want to just stick in like mystery.
Yeah, like at this point, it feels like we're getting to the point where there are a lot of things that have evidences of both, which I feel like is the point of modern literature now, where they hold many overlapping.
I know, but I'm saying it's not the point of it being both. I am on the side of it's the point of it being neither is provable makes a mystery. Which is why I asked for the project.
And I'm just saying a lot of examples where also have. Yeah, I feel like a lot of examples is just that it can definitely be on one camp. It's just that they have so much elements of the other side as well that you can argue mystery, you can never definitively say mystery because it is definitely one of the others.
But the question is, like, what content could you then put as pure mystery? That's what I'm trying to figure out. What story is there that could define that middle genre? At which case, it's kind of, that's why I'm like, I think it's a lot of media kind of could go into it, because the whole point of it is that it's just media without an end. Like Lost. Only because they didn't actually finish the show.
But I feel like it's not just like a lack of an end. I'd say it's also the tone. Tone also plays a lot, because again, you can have a open-ended. You can have an open ending, but it depends on the idea of, does the ending leave a positive impact on the plot or cast? Because it could still be open ending, but if on where things go, you could still argue that, like, majority of protagonists or people can end up for the better out of it, you know, or that there may be like a more optimistic tone at the end. Because there's no guarantee of a hopeful end or an optimistic tone, would you argue that then it would be a mystery, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was arguing. Where I'm like, it's just I don't know which piece of content I could consider a indefinitive answer as to whether it's comedy or tragedy. The totality of human life is it a comedy or tragedy?
At a point, it feels like we could just end the argument with true mystery is dumb. It's just that it can go into one or two bands, one or two camps, and it's just that the line, or it can be like a 51-49 split, you know?
No, I would agree with that initial statement, more of like the... It's dumb because it can go into either camp, but goes in... It can go into either, but goes into neither.
Yeah, like, I'm just saying that you can also just argue that any media can go into either camp. It's just that the mix or the ratio is just... can be perceived as even. Almost, where it's so... almost even, but not quite, you know?
Yeah, I get you.
Like, whether there's a 0.1 or a 0.01% that brings towards comedy, it may just simply be a comedy, even though it toes the line. And again, because literacy or literature and media has evolved ever since classical times, we have simply explored many different things a lot ever since.
Nothing
And
is
used
original
books
anymore.
to reach different...
Everything's a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy.
Yeah, everything's derivative, but due to influence and nurture, we also have just have different reasons to make media. All can be for entertainment, but there are different questions that can be asked, purely because the world itself can also be a different place from before.
Yeah. Snowy, what did you actually do for art fight? I didn't even see it.
I did a Hallie Doodle.
Uh-huh. Can you show it off? Huh?
Eh.
Trying to figure out if your stream froze or not.
Did it?
Oh.
Just drag the PNG on the screen. It's showing for me.
Well, I can see, like, something happening on the bottom of the screen, but I can't see the new image. Your, like, 8-bit alpha channel text or whatever is changing every so often.
Can you see now? Bro, just get over here at this point, man.
Yeah, I'm just trying not to die.
I'm not showing on the Discord because I don't stream the stream. I'm doing it in the Discord stream.
Oh, I'm not watching your Discord.
Oh.
Very cute. Why does Hallie have a weird tongue, though?
Huh?
Why does Hallie have a weird tongue?
Well, in the reference there's 3 tongues, but I was just like, I can do the blep with 1.
3-tongue blep?
Eh. I got lazy.
Wait, what kind of tongue does Sally have?
There's like 3. They're pretty like skinny long.
Skin long. I assume that is very likely kind of avian kind of tongue anyway. Because a lot of bird tongues are weirdly long and thin, aren't they?
Avian tongue on a wolf?
They do like,
Wolf bird.
wolf bird.
Wolf bird.
I assumed it was this one, but the thing is with, lycanthropes, they have more flat, large tongues, don't they? Okay, nice.
Oh, you know what I can talk with you about, Snowy? Because I'm like... I don't know, I'm weirded out by it, and I'm gonna call you out for this. Why do you keep thinking I am, like, scared of furries?
What?
Well, I don't know. You're the one that was so like mid about going to Anthrocon. I was just like, okay, he doesn't enjoy the furries or something. I don't know.
You said you were gonna go with Hallie, so I was like, okay, sure. And you're like, oh, would you want to go? And I'm like, you're going with Hallie.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, oh, he doesn't really want to go because he could be like, oh, I want to go anyway. And I'd be like, okay, I'll figure
But
this
you
out.
said I don't. Okay. You started that whole thing about Anthrocon with the like. Yeah, I'm still going, but you're not coming because I don't want to buy the extra ticket. And I was like, okay. And then you kept being like, would you want to go to Anthrocon? And I'm like, does she want me to go to Anthrocon? I'm on the fence, but I don't really care either way. You can go
Yeah,
have your
it's
fun
the I don't care either way. So you're just like, oh, he doesn't really care.
because I'm trying to like let you make your own decision without
Problem with having 2 people who are just like, if you want to.
Yeah, it's the 2 people if you want to. But here's the thing, though. When she started talking about it, she was like, I think you'd be fine at Anthrocon. Specifically, you'd be fine. And I'm like, what do you mean by be fine?
I don't know. You're the one who thinks that I'm weird for having the fish head.
You are weird for having the fish head.
See? But the other furries aren't weird?
To be fair, that fish head is different from an anthro suit in any case.
It's very different from a furry suit.
It is like...
What? Would I
is
be less
more
weird if I
like-
got a fursuit?
It's not weird to begin with. It's weird that you think I think it's weird.
So why do you think the fish is weird?
Relatively.
Fish and Anthrocon as a furry convention are not unilaterally decided together. It is not, I think fish is weird, therefore all of Anthrocon is a really weird place to be.
Oh, but then why is the fish weird?
Because it's a weird type of fursuit.
No, not really, because, like, you say Anthrocon, but Anthro in general is so vast where literally furry scalies. Why we use are fish still scaly?
No, okay, that I can understand. It is the fact that she is like, the head just doesn't look like a normal fursuit head. So it's a weird, like, you've seen it. It is a weird head.
I've seen it. Okay, the reason I say it's weird is purely because it feels less traditional anthro or fursuit kind of thing, and it feels more like the kind of mascot that a mangaka would have when they want to draw themselves, and they would just draw like a human with a gorilla face, or like with a fish head or something, just to have something there. And it feels more like that rather than a traditional version, so I'd say it's relatively weird, but I think it is hilarious, and so I give full props to it.
But okay, why is me saying I agree, I think the fish head is weird, somehow you like the exact same thing as saying all of Anthrocon is weird? That's what I'm hung up on, is the fact she makes it sound like I am like scared of, well, sorry, to start she made it sound like I was scared of furries, and then she made it sound like I don't like them, and I was like, I don't know what you want, I don't care. People can be furries without me having a strict opinion on them.
I don't know.
To be fair, you think that is weird, and so I can see why
What is
she's
weird?
You think a mask, a hat is weird, and I could see where she's
A mask or a hat is weird? What?
a mask, a fish hat, the hat helmet.
I'm saying hers is weird. Not all of them are. She showed me a cool swordfish one, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Oh, the swordfish isn't weird, but I'm weird.
Yeah, you're weird. I'm not.
You see,
Why
Snowy,
do
I feel like you just
I'm shattering your world right now.
yeah, it feels like you're just hypercritical of her. It feels like you just don't like all the effort she puts into her suit.
No, I love the effort. Why is weird inherently bad?
Okay,
Society.
What'd you say, Snowy?
Society.
Oh, okay, I'll stop. That's funny.
Okay, listen, Heath Ledger Joker weird and your fish head weird are not the same weird to try to compare.
That is true.
That's like you went to the wrong comparison for weirds there for a moment.
I was about to say, like,
Yes, Heath Ledger Joker is a weird bad. It's a bad weird. That's a very bad weird.
Well, I don't know about.
But your fish head is not the same as saying we live in a society. That's not the same thing.
we live in a society like at a moment's notice can drag your head through the table into a pencil kind of thing. That is different, yeah. Like Snow, you by nature are a weird person, but that it's in the kind of and amusing. You are a eccentric kind of weird. That's different.
I think the problem is that he never has any other adjective to describe the head except for weird. He has only used the singular word, so I'm like, how am I supposed to take this?
Also, he just uses weird very universally that you can't help but attract to all the other things he says are weird as
It's the
well.
fact that when it comes to the fish head specifically, I've only answered weird. And it's because I don't have any emotions on it other than it's weird.
You could at least
You're
give a
not
kind of like.
helping.
I know I'm not helping.
You
I
can give
am
a
saying
direction of weird. You can give a direction of weird because again, you like I said, it's an amusing kind of weird.
it
You
is.
let me say
Okay.
that rather than it's an absolutely atrocious kind of weird that I wouldn't.
No, hang on, fine. You know what? I'm gonna shut this whole thing up then. Snowy, your fish head is like fucking what's his name? Makoto from Rain Code.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kagasumi.
No, it's
Kagatsuchi.
Kage...
Kagatsuchi.
Kage Tsuchi, I think?
Yeah, it's Kagatsuchi.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
The best bit I have ever done on stream. It is that weird. There you go. Definitive answer for how to describe it.
I see.
It is funny weird. But again, I think that also still doesn't play into my point, Abdul, of like, just because I have one set emotion on her fish head doesn't mean I have the same set emotion on all of furries ever.
Yes, I know. I was fucking with you a good bit. I have to admit that. But I'm saying I see where Snow is coming from. If you use weird very universally to the
But
point.
don't use weird universe. Is the problem.
But if you only have weird to be said, because you definitely had more to say about the fish head than just weird.
But she
you gave up
showed
these
me
things.
other fursuits in history before Anthrocon, and I've said they're cool. Or they're interesting. Or that's a really well-crafted fursuit. It's pretty good.
Oh, sorry,
Because I can admire good craftsmanship. Why does that mean I'm gonna be scared of the man in a wolf costume?
Yes, no, he has a point. Like, I can't defend that one.
And I think the reason I'm using the word fear is I have to go and recheck the messages on what it was exactly that she said.
I don't think it's fear. I thought it was cringe.
No, I am almost 100% sure. I'm like 90% sure that at some point in the past you said, I don't think you'd be afraid of Anthrocon. And I was like, why would I be afraid of it? What is this? Where is this emotion coming from? Once I am not running around looking for hardwood, I will find the exact wording that made me think of fear. But rest assured, my brain is at least convinced that there has to be a reason fear was one of the ones that came into brain. And I know the more recent one that I was like weirded out by was her saying you would do fine at Anthrocon. Which might have honestly been what led to the initial fear thing too, actually, is because I'm like, what does do fine mean?
You would have an enjoyable time as you do at other conventions.
But I don't think I ever denied that. I just said I don't really care about going to Anthrocon if you don't want to buy me the ticket.
Plus, I just noticed. I also feel like there's a difference between being fine and doing fine.
See, okay, yeah, that's the other one. Is being fine is I'm like, I could understand if she said you'd be fine. If she said you do fine at Anthrocon, I'm like, what does that mean? Where does
that
do?
there's a difference in that one. I can say that.
I don't know. Look, man, I had to sleep on a bus for 8 hours, and then I sent that message.
That's true. I can give you in that you were not in the clearest state of mind, but I'm just like, man, you did not have the best wordings when it came to how I would fare at Anthrocon.
Okay.
Like you'd be fine is like you will not have any negative feelings or negative experience being there. You do fine is like you're gonna actively be in a fursuit of your own and be very active in it.
Well, he doesn't have to not quite perform, but there would still be like customer service job for the weekend.
What's the difference of customer service to a dude? Okay, no, you know what? I will give you that there was one moment, only a single moment, that I think may have actually influenced this more because we've both watched the video together and talked about it. Mm-hmm. In that, I think you may have also been thinking back to how I was, I watched that one video on, not DashCon, what was the furry convention that went so horribly wrong?
What happened at it?
Drug deals, people like wearing full diapers.
I don't know this one.
What?
Owls shoved in it. Oh yeah, this was like the absolute worst con that has ever gone down for furries.
I don't remember.
The terrible furry Rainforest. That's the name of it. I know you probably don't remember when we watched that, because we watched that like when we first met.
I see. I don't remember.
Yeah. It was one of those ones that it's like, it was a absolute purebred disaster, and I do remember talking about being weirded out by the thought of a furry in a full diaper, like, trying to buy your shit. Like that, yeah, that's weird, but also, I feel like I wouldn't consider that to be the average furry. That's the weirdo that should be kicked out.
I feel like that's less your issue on furries and more like your issue with, like, I guess, infantilism or that kind of thing.
Abnormalism, I guess you could say.
That's it, specifically infantilism, because I think that's the kind of player fetish where well, infantilism I heard is also used as some kind of therapy, but either way, mostly in terms of fetish, yeah, acting as a child or appearance-wise trying to dress up as one.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was like bad translations about like thinking ill of the people who, you know, were caught doing disgusting shit at Rainforest versus thinking ill of this random furry convention.
Or maybe like you have an issue with one person on, like I said, specifically the diaper part, because they are also a furry, you're conflating the two as well. Like, that could also be a possibility.
Well, yeah, I don't think it would be because of the diaper part of like the one specific furry. I think it's more so the fact that there was an entire convention that was so shut down that they tried to make another one like last year, and it was so bad and ill-advised that hotels across northern US and all of Canada were just like, the moment they heard what happened at the last one, they were like, no, we're not hosting you. Because that, I'm like, yeah, that's bad. You have to be pretty bad for a con to go that horribly wrong. And so it could have been the conflated thought that I was thinking all furry conventions were like that furry convention.
I don't know anymore.
Huh?
I don't know anymore.
Uh-huh. It's okay. I am just making conversation.
All in all, it's not a dig at you, it's just to clarify that. I guess if you were to invite him, he would be happy to join you guys if possible, and that it's not an up to you moment. You guys would both be happy if the other actually would join you to a furry con.
Well, I don't know that I'd say that. Like, my opinion isn't of going to the convention in any capacity. My opinion on the con as a whole was really kind of just, if she doesn't want to pay for me to go, I do not care, because I can always stay home and relax for a weekend. Nothing lost, nothing gained. Doesn't matter either way. It was a moot weekend. I could have stayed home, I could have gone with. Nothing changed on either end. If I had gone, I feel like I would have just as happy of a weekend as I did staying home.
Sometimes you get to chill. That's fun.
Yeah.
What the?
I guess in theory you could technically argue that one would be better because I'd be with her, but like...
That was my point, yes.
I see. Well, my brain is not like wired like that, where I'm like, I don't see a single weekend away from a person as me enjoying their company any more or less.
No, that is fine. Like
I
everyone's
still enjoy her company till the end of my days because I love her.
yeah, and I'm not saying I'm not implying either otherwise. Like everyone does deserve to have sometimes their own presence or something, and that does not detract from their appreciation for other people. I'm just saying that regardless of whether you enjoy Puck or not, if you were invited, you'd be happy to take up the offer.
That's the problem, is I don't know when she's inviting me or not.
Uh-huh.
Because again, this all goes down to the issue of if it's up to you. The both.
Yeah, exactly. When someone says it's up to me, I feel like it's not actually up to me and that they have an answer in mind.
Yeah. How can I explain it?
Like, if someone says it's up to me, and I say the wrong thing, then I feel like I didn't choose the right answer, at which point it also just kind of feels like it wasn't actually up to me, even if it was. But then, not having that definitive answer of like, oh, will they be like, or were they upset at the response, is also the question of like, is that also the wrong choice? So it's like a lose-lose-lose scenario. I'm like, I want to know what the other person wants more. I want to make the right call.
I'd say in my way of thinking about it, because of thinking of an up to you, is I think of more in terms of absolute value. In terms of if me being there for sure is what makes them happier, if they for sure appreciate me being there, or if I feel like we're definitely going to have more fun there, then I'd be happy to join. But then
I didn't know if that was the case.
yeah, and when it comes to an up to you, it feels like if it puts into question whether me being there is going to add value in terms of enjoyment. And so I'm just there like, why gamble it? Just if you're gonna go there and enjoy the event yourself anyway, and it's not guaranteed that I'm going to help improve the enjoyment, then why I probably just shouldn't accept. And that's a thing that goes in my mind. I have been trying to be more straightforward by just saying yes and taking up people on offers, because I realize helping people by accepting help, you help people by accepting help, and that can make another person happier. That's what I've been trying to do. And by taking up people on their offers, it makes them feel happier because, in a way, they also feel useful.
So now I have a question at the end of all this here. Would you have preferred I had come with you to Androponic?
In hindsight, probably.
I see.
Yeah.
Is that because I am good at the convention job?
Yeah. And Hallie's also not a great, not like the greatest handler.
If
I don't know how you
were to
would
give
do
Hallie-
either, but you have more chances to practice and be around for that sort of stuff.
I feel like I've also proven myself as a better handler.
Yeah,
no?
it's because I've only worn the head like twice, so it's hard to say.
Oh yeah, I was asking because I was also questioning, like, was there a right call to have made? But if it's only in hindsight that you can answer this, then my answer is no, there was no right answer.
Because the other problem is that I only get one assistant badge and literally am not allowed more. So it would just be like, you just gotta sit around until open, and then we just sneak you behind the table or something.
Well, I could also like go and look around and sit down at other places to do and stuff. And then when you go out to do stuff, that's when I sit behind the table or whatever.
So you know how we're all like kind of hard of hearing question mark?
Oh yeah?
Yeah, Hallie's is even worse than like both of ours.
Oh, Hallie's hearing?
Yeah.
Just a very type of person.
It's like the like the what did you say? Like I don't know. It's like because I need like very specifics when doing the con stuff, and Hannah would just be like, "What?" and I'd be like, "The thing." And not when I would say the thing, but like the thing that I just said, I'd say it again.
Yeah, I think mine is really a case of like, it's not that my ears are bad, it's that sometimes the words just get a little too slurred for the brain to comprehend.
I forgot about that.
And so I have to ask for confirmation on that end of being like, okay, what was that word? Was that potato? Or was that leave me alone and never come back?
Should I just make besides entire sidetrack? Should I just make this the Jack card instead? Because I forgot I had these spades to deal with, and I just kind of drew Big Mola. It was supposed to be small. Jack is supposed to be small Mola.
So that one's not the ace itself?
Well, no, Ace is Big Mola with the eyeball. Like extra big.
I don't think it should be a Jack then, but I also don't think that whatever you're doing is fitting that card too well.
No, because I forgot to like. I need to move the spades because I thought I could get away with it. No, I could not. I could put them all back underwater. Just sink them.
Well. What? That is a few too many ships in this blockade here, huh?
Are you playing Skull and Crossbones?
No, I am playing Windrose.
I don't know, I just immediately saw the ship combat and I was immediately thinking Skull and Crossbones.
Yeah. I mean, now that I've started playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey with Snowy, I'm like, man, Assassin's Creed has come so far that the new Black Flag game might actually be pretty good.
True, I never noticed it, but I only played 1 and saw 2 before, from my cousin, like when I was over at cousins and the like. So I guess my thoughts on Assassin's Creed games are still very simple in that regard, and that
Yeah.
I think
mine on Black Flag were too, but I'm like, it was operating under a very big misconception that not a lot had changed.
yeah.
But seeing how they're doing the new games, even from like a quest mechanic perspective, I'm like, man, there is so the big mechanic that I am thoroughly enjoying in Odyssey, that I'm also saying I would probably enjoy a lot in like Black Flag, for example, is they, as of Odyssey, apparently tried this new system where you have an option to not have a linear quest. And what that essentially does in practice is if you have the like linear quest turned on, then quest and side quest markers are just always displayed. Right? They're just always there. If you have it off, however, then part of NPC dialogues that just already exist, whether you have it on or off, is supposed to be about like side missions and stuff like that, and like the rumors and whatnot. And so it makes it so that those markers are off, and you have to like actually find and figure out main and side quests and their locations and stuff.
Oh, so it's like a bit of a like I always say hardcore because one of my biggest games growing up is of course Call of Duty. So when I say hardcore mode, I always think of the HUDless mode of that. So when I say hardcore, I say HUDless or usually lack of
Yeah, like a last
guidance.
Like that kind of direction of like.
And that is cool. I like games that like having a map and such is convenient. I like games that sometimes reward you for exploring and manually noting areas or manually trying to map out areas yourself. There will always be convenience and people who simply physically find it difficult to map areas. I don't have the kind of spatial imagery to map out an area and to have landmarks and the like and directions in their heads, so I accept that maps are sometimes needed regardless as an option. But I do like given the option to sometimes just go complete HUDless to try and go complete clean.
You know what the better way of thinking of this is, Abdul? I will say it as I say. I like the fact that you can essentially choose between Skyrim quests or Morrowind quests. Morrowind being they gave you a journal and a map. Beyond that, it's like, I don't fucking know what you want to do. Go do shit. And I like that not only do I like that it is back, as that's a thing you could do, I like that it is a optional mechanic.
But
Why?
Don't use Skyrim and Morrowind as examples.
Why have 3 ping? Who yelling at me?
Sorry, that's me.
No, it's not. That's the problem.
I did ping Snowy though.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I forgot that he looks like that.
I didn't even know it was Oda. Like, I remember there was a mangaka that definitely had a fish head as their avatar, just a human with a fish head, and I forgot that was Oda. But
Yeah, I forgot that he had that.
Yeah, that is essentially the kind of funny, weird.
Yeah, I
feeling
couldn't make
have.
myself hand fins. I am just lazy, and it's hot. It'd be extra hot then.
Oh, true. Because sweaty hands would be absolutely horrible as well. You're already going to be sweating underneath the helmet, mask, hat, whatever.
Cause I've done it before where I had the full suit blazer stuff, but I couldn't do it this weekend. Ain't no way I could have done that weekend at least. Let's just not bother me. Maybe one day when I feel up to it, but not anytime soon.
Play the actual game Skyrim and Morrowind. I more so just meant how they do their quests.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's just like I said, I haven't played either of them, and when it comes to Skyrim...
Well, yeah, that's why I described it as Morrowind, it gives you a journal and a map, and that's it. Skyrim, it gives you quest markers for literally everything.
I noticed that when I played Skyrim, I even tried it again, a few months ago. Immediately, my compass was completely full with a lot of things, and obviously you could choose what you marker and stuff, but at that point I felt like it already is way too over-designed.
It's choice paralysis, for sure. But no, I was saying that I like the fact that Odyssey has that as an option of you can turn it on or off whenever you want. You can have the more linear exploration and quests, or you could opt to just find your own way through. And if they put that in the Black Flag remake, that's where I'm like, oh, god damn it, I want to play that, though, because that's just... I will always say, Black Flag, best pirate game ever. Second best, rather. Worst Assassin's Creed game of all time, by far. But it's a really good pirate game.
Black Flag.
Oh, yeah.
Worst Assassin's Creed game.
It is the worst game at beating Assassin's Creed, yes. It is terrible at its job.
I guess as an assassin.
Yeah, it fails in like every... I counted, Abdul. There are like 13... So there are 13 main missions in the original Assassin's Creed. Right? 2.5 of them, you play as either an assassin or a Templar. Not and or, just or. 2.5 out of 13 quests do you actually fund a assassin-based plot in a game called Assassin's Creed. It is also known for having some of the worst goddamn stealth quests of all time. Because whoever designed those quests and said, yeah, you should stealth, but in a boat that takes 20 minutes to either slow down or speed up, they were a fucking unhinged lunatic.
How was this? Is this better? Like, I have to re-clean the spade, like, but...
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Gotta submerge them on
Yeah. Yeah, no, I will always hold that, like, grudge, Abdul. Assassin's Creed Black Flag should not have had the title Assassin's Creed tagged to it. I'm actually slowly starting to think this about Odyssey 2.
It's really not. There's no assassination. You're just doing mercenary work.
Yeah, I heard the same.
We are a mercenary.
Yeah, I know. You're just doing mercenary stuff.
Yeah, I had the same Odyssey and Valhalla, where they can be great, like, other games in their own right, but they don't fit as assassin stealth games. Where they are, if you were to have a kind of scale between Sam Fisher's Splinter Cell, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, to like Devil May Cry, they would be closer to Devil May Cry than they are Splinter Cell.
Yeah, weirdly enough, yes.
Speaking of, man, I miss Splinter Cell so much.
No, I'm saying I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's also where I'm like, man, it was a really good pirate game. The story was almost perfect. It fell apart at one point for sure. But if you take out every mention of assassins and just made it a pirate story, it would have, like, nothing but gameplay flaws. And that's it. And that is to say, it definitely had its gameplay flaws. Because people were, like, so pining off of, like, the wind mechanics and, like, actually having to slow turn your ship and whatnot and, like, be broadsiding the enemy properly. I want to remind people that there is a boss fight, a mandatory boss fight in that game, that when you are at maximum scale, like, being good and on, like, maximum armor and hull, like, your ship is built or whatever, and you are on normal difficulty, that boss fight takes a minimum of 20 fucking minutes. Minimum. That's terrible pacing.
Yeah.
I got very sidetracked and I looked into the free furniture Facebook.
On Facebook?
The free stuff Facebook.
Uh-huh.
And there's this very nice looking chair I put in no mic, but it's also, as you can tell from the picture, very small.
I see.
Only this big.
I apparently don't have the crew boarding stuff set up for this.
Oh,
thing.
that's like that's like the kind of stuff you'd have for a pet if you want to like jokingly treat them like they
Yeah.
are like an adult human kind of thing, and you give them like funny actual clothes to wear, or you give them an actual chair to sit in.
Oh, did you post this somewhere?
No mic.
And no, Mike, that is out of so fucking tight.
You know, it really doesn't help that I left my phone in her room so I could let
Want
it
to bring it
charge.
over?
I need to use the washroom, so I'll grab it.
Oh, whatever. You can also come look at it. I have it pulled up.
Yeah, I will in a moment. I'm letting myself cheese this fight anyway because I am struggling enough to be at 3 out of 9 while fucking boarding.
Thing. It's so nice.
Oh, it does look really nice.
Oh my gosh, Sean, it's half this mirror.
That's like a kid's chair.
Yeah.
Scale that to like double it, and then
Yeah, it'd also be like an $800 leather chair at that point. I really should just make like a giant map that is just this water texture instead of like doing this 10,000 times, but I don't know. So you know it's molded to per card. Every time you see this water texture, guys, I have to do this by hand. No artist hack meat overlays here.
I'd imagine the same for myself. I don't do kind of hacks and streamline processes when I really should.
Well, for me, it's like every single hack. It just doesn't work with my art style, so I just have to draw it. It mostly is for highly like realistic or like rendered stuff where you can get away with it. But I'm like, if I were to use a piece of meat to overlay this, the bubbles would be way too tiny. Because like the whole thing is that you use like a really marbled meat and like the distribution of the fat really well for seafoam. Okay.
Can't say what. Have to look at.
Oh.
This is what people are apparently. That's their major concern.
I ain't it always like that.
Oh, you asked how you gonna make me guess for that shit?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you gotta guess which major problem this is.
Okay. Out of 10, how quotation marks woke is their issue?
Negative woke.
Is the original?
Ah.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Negative woke.
So the issue people have with
No,
did
no,
you say
no.
the remake?
Okay, I'm not saying what the issue is. The question to you, Abdul, is what do you think people are upset about with Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake?
With the remake, yes, and I'm trying to guess. Yes, and I'm trying to guess, but I am trying to at least get hints on to get into the direction of it. So I'm trying to. My question was, the issue that people have with the new remake, has it something to do with wokeness? Like some in their words.
Kind of. No one has directly said this is woke, but they
No one
have
has
pointed to
directly
other
said it.
things like it that are considered woke.
Okay. Is it character specific?
Yes.
By character specific, I mean like, is it about characters in general? But now my question is it individual specific?
Yes.
I assume the removal of Desmond's missions.
Desmond didn't have missions in 4 originally, so no. I'm gonna send in No Mike what their issue is.
Okay. Before I check, so it's nothing to do with Desmond.
No, it can't have anything to do with Desmond. Desmond was not in Black Flag.
I assume romance. I think the issue in the remake is something to do with romance. Fucking hell.
Kind of say you're on the right track, I guess.
I just looked at it.
Yeah, that's their issue with it, is that they made her cleavage less noticeable.
Okay, so it is on the realm of wokeness.
What?
It is on the realm of wokeness where people are complaining about, oh yeah, why? Yeah.
It's like that, and then they're complaining that you also apparently can't get drunk? But there's been no proof of this?
Yeah, I was about to say that's a weird thing that the game would remove. Well, I mean, I could see why they'd remove it, like, in a way, but it wouldn't make sense if they're sticking to everything else the game is about. That is so sad. That is very sad. Like, just sad of them to complain about that. It reminds me about the people complaining about Aloy.
Yeah, someone else is also complaining, be like, "Oh, they removed all the assassin stuff. It's only pirates fight with 2 swords now." And I'm like, "What?" But they showed off the blow dart and rope dagger that were from the original being used in the remake.
Oh yeah, I saw the issue with the animals and stuff, which was again a very non-issue.
No, but wait, what? Sorry, say again?
I remember people complaining about being able that you get penalized for killing animals and the like, but you don't get penalized when killing humans. That was an issue they had, and I'm just like, that's such a non-issue, especially considering the context of the game itself.
In Black Flag, penalized for killing animals?
Yes.
In the recent?
Yes, that's an issue people like I know someone brought up in the remake, which I'm aware is a thing in the original, but some people they don't like to point that out.
And I guess, but you were only really penalized for killing an animal that was like part of a farmer's farm. Like, you weren't penalized for killing a shark out in the wild, you were penalized for killing a rabbit that's some dudo. That's not the same at all.
It is not the same at all.
I just don't like seeing a ton of misinformation spread when it's also not even like the developers per se that are bad with Ubisoft. It really is just their publishing and marketing team.
Yeah.
Developers can't always be putting their fucking heart and soul into everything Ubisoft actually puts out.
Yeah, because I'm aware. I agree that Ubisoft, in terms of development, actual creative team, is amazing, because just look at their concept artists and you'd see that they make some of the most amazing kind of concepts for environments, for character concepts. I think like when it comes to creatively building a game from the ground up, they have it all on lock. It's again the direction of the game, or like the weird features put into it, it could only be done by those higher up echelons, the higher echelons that just put profit focused features in the game, and then thus shift the game away from its original kind of base. And that is always the issue, because The Division has always been, and I say, one of the best examples of urban focused environments. And in general, like Ubisoft has always been the most bleeding edge front pioneers when it comes to literally like scanning real life environments and putting it into the actual games. They've been amazing, but I always criticize the direction and features they put into it, or the fact that bugs and the like, or games being sent half-assed. Not to any detriment of the devs themselves, though.
When did it become 9:30?
That is a good question.
I don't know, but I'm still stuck here at 4 to 9 victims. Yep.
Bless you.
Real quick, was that a sneeze?
Yeah, I guess.
It wasn't a sneeze. At least I don't
Oh.
assume it was.
No, it was me in panic mode.
Yeah.
Nope. Come on, I'm almost at 5 out of 9. The problem is I can't lose because I am actually able to then just turn around and take out the other idiot that's right there. Of the Royal James is at 1 HP, and he is the quest I was working on today. But that means I have to win this boarding match. Nope. Oh, they killed Truffles a little too fast. Sorry, Gary. I like the lore implications that this boarding raid was just this long of a stalemate. Went on for hours. No one tried to shoot any cannons or anything. Oh, Gary fell in the water is why he's not. I see. God damn it, Gary.
Bless you.
Just saying no.
Hang on. Holy fuck. Gary, did you fall in the water immediately after I did that? Like, what happened to you? You dead? Looks like it. Means I got like 2 hits off on the enemy. All because I didn't bring ammo.
Oops.
There's only one ship to sink after this, though. I guess there's the idea of, because I have like the food left a little bit, and Al can jump across. I can still get like a hit off while I wait for Gary to respawn. I just need to also immediately block and then jump back. Nope. Okay, Gary got his dude down to half. Before dying. That's at least somewhat honorable.
People gonna notice that half the Mola cards have like the same Mola rotating.
Uh-huh.
Just draw him so consistent. That's definitely how that one works.
You just have it down to a science.
See, I need you to be right here so I can fucking pull this goddamn Gary trigger and watch him come and shove at least one of you off. Instant free kill. Hey! I can't shoot you. Don't shoot back. Cheating. Almost there. Get him, Gary! Get him! Get him off! No!
Come on, Gary.
No, he got one dude, like, off of the side and he can't get back on. But he's not falling into the water is the problem. And Gary fell into the water like immediately after too, so you know. That captain just got put back on their ship? God damn it! Nope. Back to mission, please. Alright, get some health and then see if Gary can't shove them off. And we're still at 5 out of 9 and it's 10 o'clock, please. Go for 3 more people after this? my god. One, you're so close to dead. There's 6! Did that guy just fall in after me? He did! There's 7! Ow. Is that 8? It is! At that point, there is one of you left who has low HP. I must simply get to them, and I can turn in the quest and be done. No! Yes! We did it!
Congrats!
We have one more to take out, but we're not boarding it. For you, my sweet prince, I shall simply say, good night. And eat my fucking bullets. God damn it. Think, damn you! Oh no! There has been one vital flaw. I have to defeat the other two level 15s. Fuck. We did so good! I even found a strat to kill them if I can't normally. I know how to make them just jump off their boat in droves. Literally in this case. It's if I go to a specific spot, they keep trying to attack me. But with the coming with the trying to attack territory, also comes the they just kind of accidentally falling off their own ship because they're swinging a sword violently on the edge of it territory.
The rage baiting strat.
Yeah. Except it's AI that I learned I could rage bait somehow. Can you imagine if that was the end to like iRobot? Where like, usually that's how they learn they have sentience, is they rage bait a robot real quick. But I'm like, what if that was the solution to getting a robot to like off itself? You just rage bait it so hard.
That is a common enough solution. In many shows and the like, you simply just overload it with processing or emotion.
Oh, I guess,
rage
yeah.
baiting is both.
I guess, yeah, is overloading like rage baiting the same way though?
No, it's not that overloading is rage baiting. Rage baiting is overloading.
I see, okay.
It's a form of overloading someone with either emotion or information, depending on the method, much like those other methods do the same.
Oh, that's not good. There's a new warship in play. No!
Alright, chat, I'm ending my stream here. Tomorrow we will be back with art. Doing more drawing stuff. Thanks for watching, Lurk, and hanging out as always. We will be back tomorrow.